Hello everyone and welcome to the 88 MPH community call. The call that's always jam-packed with the best crypto projects within the DeFi space, serious alpha leaks, and more. My name is Whipper and I'm a crypto enthusiast and a community volunteer at 88 MPH. Alongside me today, I have Steven and Josh, who are no strangers to this industry and definitely don't need an introduction as their reputation speaks for them. Today's call is going to be jam-packed with valuable information, so make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end. Before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to the 88 MPH community and congratulate them on their continued success with V3. As each day passes, the TVL continues to rise and the amount of feedback from the community has been overwhelmingly positive. Today we have the special pleasure of hosting Polygon, one of the top scaling solutions for Ethereum that's used by hundreds of thousands of DeFi users. Before we start the call, I'd like to remind everyone here on stage to please keep their mics muted unless they're speaking. If you have any questions or comments during the call, please feel free to raise your hand so we can bring you up on stage. For the sake of getting more community engagement during these calls, we've changed the format a little bit to now an open style discussion. So feel free to jump in with your questions or comments at any time. Simply raise your hand to get our attention. As with tradition here at 88 MPH, we will be closing the call with a $100 raffle giveaway in the form of 1 MPH. As well, we will be minting POAPs for those who join the call today. On the agenda, we will be discussing scaling Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0, Polygon's explosive growth, ETH killers versus Ethereum Layer 2 and sidechains, news and updates from both 88 MPH and Polygon, followed by our raffle and the minting of our POAPs. With that, I'd like to open the call with Asif from Polygon. Can you please give us a brief introduction into who you are, how you got into this space, and what is Polygon?
Yeah, sure, Whipper. First of all, thanks for inviting me today here. Seeing some of the biggest names in the space, so extremely honored to be speaking with you people. And yeah, so just a small quick intro about myself. So hey, I'm Asif and I lead growth DeFi for Polygon. Before that, I was working as a web developer, full stack in a health insurance firm, and then found out about DeFi. And once I found out about DeFi, just fell down the rabbit hole. This is around January. After that, found out about Polygon and just joined it, quit my job. And yeah, things have been going great till now. Thanks.
That's amazing. Thanks a lot, Asif. For those joining us from the Polygon community, I'm going to pass the mic over real quick, either to Zephram or Josh. If you guys want to fill in some of the listeners in our audience what 88 MPH does before we dive into the call, that'd be awesome. Just a small, quick intro.
Yeah, sure. Steven, do you want to go or shall I?
You go ahead.
Okay. So for those that don't know, 88 MPH is a fixed rate yield bearing protocol. You can deposit a variety of assets such as stable coins, WBTC, even a link. You can deposit them into the front page and earn a fixed rate yield return. Kind of different to the variable rate yields, which rise and fall depending on the state of the market. 88 MPH guarantees you a fixed rate yield. There's a number of other structured products, financial instruments that we have, for example, yield tokens, which are floating rate bonds that speculate on the underlying variable rate yield, and also zero coupon bonds, which can be minted to allow you to gain a redemption of one-to-one value at a later date. Other kind of innovative things we're doing is playing around with NFTs and trying to kind of find out how you can take your deposit into a protocol such as 88 MPH and mark it with an NFT, put your own creative spin on it, and kind of pass it around to your friends, but personalized. And also, we've just released MPH V3, which is the kind of TradFi ready version of the protocol. We're doing this at the moment in order to kind of branch out into the new DeFi TradFi crossover.
Thanks a lot for that, Josh. And we will be getting into a little bit deeper discussion around 88 MPH as well as V3 later on in the call, but back to Polygon here. So, all right, I'd like to get started with the first segment of our call, which is going to be focused around scaling Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0. It's no surprise that Ethereum is the number one used blockchain with the most use cases. But with that comes very costly gas prices, which every user wants relief from. Let's talk about the difference between sidechains and layer 2s and the advantages and disadvantages between both of them. Seth, if you would like to comment on that, that'd be great.
Yeah. So here specifically about sidechains and L2s, is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, or on a higher level, would say that sidechains would have their own trust assumptions, which would be lesser in the case of L2s. So let's say if we talk about Polygon POS chain, so our chain has around 100 validators, and of course economic incentives and the Lindy effects sort of makes us really safe now. And of course, we are now looking to increase the number of validators, improve more, increase decentralization even more. So that would make the chain robust. But yeah, if you talk about the consensus mechanism, it doesn't exactly derive its security from Ethereum's. Whereas if you talk about rollups, they do derive their security from Ethereum, which makes them more secure. This would be the ideal case. However, in the current implementations of rollups which are live, they have some trust right now. So Arbitrum has this one rollup sequencer, which is pretty centralized. But yeah, I mean, rollups are a difficult engineering problem to solve. So initially, solution may be centralized. But yeah, in true full glory, a rollup would be pretty much decentralized and more decentralized than a sidechain.
Perfect. Thanks for that. By the way, I didn't even realize that we were joined by Zephram as well as Zeth, who is a new developer working with us. So just quick shout out to them for joining with us today. Zeth, if you would like to introduce yourself to the community before we continue the conversation, that'd be great. I know that everyone knows Zephram very well. So just for yourself, since you're new with us, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Whipper. Hey, everyone. You may have seen me in Discord chatting with people, but I'm pretty new to developing on 88 MPH. Probably joined maybe 4 months ago and worked mostly on the front end. So anything in the UI, bugs or feature requests that you have, or even ideas, just feel free to ping me and I can work on them for you.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Okay, back to our conversation about sidechains and layer 2s. So, by the way, I'm going to be asking maybe some pretty basic questions, but the reason why I do that is because I want to give everyone in the audience an opportunity to really understand the protocol well so that they can start to use it. I actually read an amazing tweet today that Polygon now actually has over 200,000 daily active users, which is absolutely amazing. And the explosive in the growth has been phenomenal. So I want to give everyone an opportunity to fully understand what it is that they're using so that we can continue with this absolute explosive growth. So you were talking about how layer 2 sort of achieved their security mechanism. Could you maybe expand a little bit about how Polygon, which is considered, I guess, a sidechain, but I don't know if you guys would consider it a sidechain, where does it really derive its security mechanism? I know you mentioned there was 100 validators, but how does it really tie back into L1 Ethereum?
Yeah, sure. And this exact question would be the one reason how pretty much Polygon POS chain is different than any other sidechain. So the way our chain works is that there are two components. So there's a Bohr layer and there's a Heimdall layer. Not gonna go into much detail here, but just a high level architecture. So Bohr would be the block producer layer, and Heimdall would be the layer that syncs the sidechain or commit chain transactions to the ETH11. So after a certain number of blocks, certain transactions are bundled up to into a Merkle root, and then with the help of the Heimdall layer, they are checkpointed on the Ethereum L1. So for that, we pay gas fee to Ethereum, and this is pretty much one feature or one design decision that separates us from other sidechains, because other sidechains, so in a way we are tethered to Ethereum. If Ethereum doesn't exist, Polygon POS chain doesn't exist. Whereas this wouldn't be exactly the case for other chains, whereas they would exist. However, their bridges with Ethereum would not exist. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I just want to remind everyone in the audience, as well as everyone here on stage, this is an open style discussion. So at any point, if you want to raise your hand or come in, please feel free to ask away or, give us your comments. Asif, but the way you just described this sort of quote unquote commit chain, it sounds a lot like what some of the layer twos are doing. Like, they're running the computation off chain, but they're sort of coming and committing it back to L1. I'm trying to, for the sake of the audience, decipher what is really different though about a sidechain versus like in layer two. Like, what is the main difference?
Yeah, sure. So initially I talked about the 100 validators, and this is pretty much what separates us, Polygon POS chain from other scaling solutions. So let's say if we talk about ZK rollups, so in those rollups, computations may occur on a different chain, but the transactions or the proof of the transactions may be rolled back onto the L1 through the ZK technology, right? So if in that case you would be trusting the ZK cryptography, the zero knowledge cryptography, but apart from that, the trust would be on the Ethereum side, right? When you talk about optimistic rollups, so the transactions occur on a different chain, and then there's this settlement window or dispute window, however you want to label it, and in that window, different market participants can jump in and state if they think the transactions are fraudulent, and this sort of testing of transactions would occur on the ETH11 side. So let's say for claiming that a transaction is fraudulent, a user may have to stake their ETH, known as bonding ETH, something like that. This would be in case of optimistic rollups. I mean, dispute resolution isn't exactly being practiced right now for rollups, so would be interesting to see how that pans out. But yeah, in on a higher level, you would have to stake your ETH. You will have to pay for that ETH, and in case of optimistic rollup, the transactions would now be run on the ETH L1 to validate if the claim is right or wrong. Arbitrum has a different sort of algorithm for testing this. That may take a bit of time to explain. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That the settlement layer in case of disputes would be ETH L1, and this separates from the Polygon POS chain.
Perfect.
Hope it makes sense. And
Yeah, no, for
I was
sure.
not babbling.
No, no, not at all, not at all. I mean, this is definitely something that I feel like everyone within the Ethereum ecosystem is so interested to learn more about because obviously it impacts everyone. Gas prices have been nuts, and we all want to see how ETH is going to scale out. So it's super important to ask these questions and to to get more knowledge about it. So you mentioned about these 100 validators. I'm assuming this is like a proof of stake method, and if it is, how does one become a validator? Is there a max or a minimum amount of validators that have to be on the Polygon POS chain at any time? How does it work?
Yeah, so before we had 100 validators, anyone could become a validator, and there wasn't any minimum cap on the validator size. After we reached 100 validators, we are changing the way new validators can join. So we are creating an auction mechanism, and the idea behind creating that auction mechanism is that chain is sufficiently fast, it's sufficiently optimized, uh, and there's no particular limit right now as to how many validators we will allow. Uh, but yeah, once the auction mechanism comes up, that would make things a lot clearer.
Could you just walk us through like a typical example of how one would become a validator? Is there like a specific investment amount that is required? I'm assuming there's because it's a stake.
Yeah.
What are they staking Matic tokens? Like what are they actually doing to become a validator? And what's the threshold for one to actually run a validator?
Yeah, so they'll have to stake Matic tokens, and then they would be given block rewards in form of Matic tokens. And currently, users can't become validators. As I said, we had decided to cap validators initially to 100 and then implement this auction mechanism. So as of today, if you want to become a new validator, you can't. But yeah, once that auction mechanism comes up, it gets finalized. We would pretty much release the details. That would be a bit different from the earlier onboarding, I would say. And yeah, that is pretty much when I can also give clarity over that.
And I'm assuming the reason for that is to help the chain become even further more decentralized. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Let's talk a little bit about block times and TPS, transactions per second. What sort of numbers are you guys hitting right now, and can these be even further optimized to even further enhance the scaling solutions?
Sure. So in terms of TPS, I think we are easily seeing around 60, 70 TPS, something like that. Of course, that's variable. On a daily basis, I think we are seeing around 6.6 million, 6 million, 7 million transactions per day. On the number of users, they are around 200k, 220k, something like that. Of course, variable. Uh, and would say that we have scaled pretty nicely till now. And chain is sufficiently optimized, and would say that we can do a lot more than this. Initially, we were having a lot of RPC issues, and there was a lot of FUD in the community that chain is clogged and chain is clogged, chain is slow. But yeah, we have significantly scaled those, and now that RPC issues are gone, I can say we are pretty excited to go even more.
When you guys talk about further scaling the chain, is that as easy as just like a couple of like pressing a couple of buttons, so to speak? And the reason why I bring this up is because like Arbitrum and Optimism, for example, have really come out with like a very slow approach to their scaling solutions. They really want to take things in a very cautioned way. You mentioned, I guess, that you're hitting around 60 to 70 TPS right now. How would you guys go about increasing that, and how simple is it to increase it?
Yeah, so when I say scaling chain exactly, I would say that we haven't reached our limit right now. So with even the current chain, I think we can go even more, and then maybe we'll have to do something. But yeah, in current state, we are pretty much, we haven't reached the limit right now.
Well, awesome for that. So Polygon, in my opinion, has probably one of the easiest bridges, which allows users to move funds, from chain to chain. How, like in the future, like how can we make the custody of those bridges more decentralized? And this is not an issue that's specific to Polygon, by the way. It's something that's specific to optimism and Arbitrum right now. But in the future, like how do you guys envision a state where these bridges could be quote unquote called fully decentralized?
Yeah, so upon bridges, so first of all, I think a Polygon POS bridge is probably the most decentralized bridge in the whole blockchain space, I would say. So, because the bridge also is validated by our own set of validators, which is sufficiently more than some of the proof POA type bridges that are currently existing. Uh, Secondly, specifically on the bridge issue, I mean, I know community has talked a lot about the bridge multisig. So we are constantly looking to increase the security on that. So we increased the multisig from 4 to 8, which was a good step, I would say. Now we are also implementing a time lock, so that would give users in around 2 days of time. So if they feel that there's something wrong with our new updates, they are free to jump off Polygon chain. If they feel that the updates are not right, that is one big step that we will be taking in near future. In the long term, we may either increase the uh, number of keys on the multisig, or do right away with the keys in the long term. But I think that would take some time, because I mean, we did start in around September last year. Progressively, we are increasing decentralization, increasing security, uh, and who knows, maybe 1 year down the line, it's fully decentralized.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that answer. So I want to switch gears here and talk a little bit and get into the next segment of the call, which is going to focus around Polygon's explosive growth. I mean, for now, I think it's safe to say that Polygon Network has seen the most usage from any other sidechain. What would you say is the contributing factor to this explosive growth right now?
So one central thesis we had at Polygon was that Ethereum needed scaling, and it needed scaling right now. And all these things were happening around 7 months back, 8 months back. And this is exactly where we thought that our Polygon POS chain exactly fits in, because now with the Polygon Hermes uh, acquisition, we are also creating a ZK EVM rollup. But all these solutions take a lot of time, because these are difficult engineering problems to solve. Uh, so that was the idea behind Polygon POS chain, that we knew that users want a low gas fee environment, uh, and if enough composability is there, if enough blue chip dApps are there, users will use the chain. And that's pretty much what happened when Aave deployed, when Curve deployed, when Sushi deployed, when people got to use these blue chips in a low gas fee environment. A lot of organic activity started, which we are still seeing now. So now all these other layer ones are also starting activity, AVAX or FTM or Solana. Our daily active users keep on growing day by day. Every day it's higher highs and higher lows. So yeah, that would be pretty much the central point, that users needed scalability, composability came to the chain, and yeah, it blew up.
Right, you touched upon this a little bit, but Polygon has made a huge investment into R&D for scaling solutions. Do you see Polygon staying as a sidechain, or perhaps even turning into like a fully used either solution similar to like Optimism or Arbitrum, where either you become like an actual rollup or a layer 2 or even like a ZK rollup? How do you guys see Polygon positioning themselves in the future?
Yeah, so the way we currently position Polygon is uh, that Polygon is not one solution. So Polygon is not just Polygon POS chain. We we intend to be the scaling solution aggregator, right? So apart from our current Polygon POS chain, ZK EVM would very much become a reality in coming months, let's say next year, and that is how we view Polygon, as this aggregator which gives users and developers both uh, the freedom to use whichever scaling solution they want to use. Uh, if they want full Ethereum security, they can use ZK EVM rollups. If they want low transaction fees and somewhat lesser security, they can use Polygon POS chain, and same for users.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the motivation behind using, let's just say, the Matic token to pay for gas fees as opposed to, let's just say, ETH as gas? Was that something that was like a debate of some sort, or was it a decision from the team? Take us back to the time before the chain actually even rolled out.
Oh man, you you're gonna get me now. uh, so upon that, I mean, in the community, there has been this debate or this voice that if Polygon is for scaling ETH, why even have a token, or why have Matic token and use it to pay gas fee? So if we, I'm going to become a bit philosophical maybe, but if we talk about crypto and these products, I mean, you do need incentives perhaps to create networks, to pay for developers, to create these network effects. So if a token is being created, which was created for these purposes, I mean, it is pretty rational, uh, because however the token was valued, currently token is actively being used to scale Ethereum. So money is being invested into ZK efforts, uh, which I would say is sort of the end game for Ethereum scaling. So that is pretty much how those things started.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's a good answer, and I definitely don't disagree with you. But I know it's something that comes up, and I thought it would be worthwhile for the audience to hear. I want to sort of get into the last segment of our call here, which is going to be focused on Ethereum quote unquote killers versus layer 2s and sidechains. So it's no surprise that the likes of Solana and Avalanche and Terra have seen some insane price gains over the last 30 to 60 days. In fact, they've been getting a lot of attention. While price gains alone don't signify any material technological advancement alone, or any advantages, what would you say to those ETH killer maxis who claim that their L1s will eventually kill ETH?
Yeah. So our central thesis about Ethereum is that it would be the one definitive blockchain when it comes to DeFi or NFTs, because we just feel when you talk specifically about the mindshare, uh, we just feel at how Ethereum scaled over the previous years. The mindshare that Ethereum currently has, other networks would take significant amount of time to scale up to that level of mindshare, that level of network activity. And by the time those networks do catch up, uh, Ethereum will have the scaling sorted. So optimistic rollups and ZK rollups would be a reality. And in such a world, uh, the relevance for other layer 2 sort of becomes diminished. So yeah, that is pretty much what we view the future will be, and this is why Ethereum would be the one big blockchain, and of course other ones may exist because uh, once activity starts on any blockchains, projects are started, developers come, bag holders are there, token pumps. So enough activity will be there on other chains, but Ethereum would be the one big chain, the one global settlement layer, if you may say, for the ETH maxi in me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, like, even if you look at something like Arbitrum, which is still on training wheels, they managed to plow in something like $3 billion, which is not, super significant in terms of DeFi, but like, it's still. And even if you look at what's on Polygon right now, like, if I'm not mistaken, it's more than what's on Solana, if not, pretty much at the same pace. But I tend to agree with you that, once a lot of the dApps start to move over and a lot of this network activity starts to move to these side chains and these L2s, that there was pretty much no reason to go to these quote unquote ETH killers. I think that most people are just flocking there right now because they just can't handle the gas fees. That sort of leads me to my next question. Do you think it's possible for sidechains and L2s to compete with some of the numbers that I see quoted from, let's just say, the likes of Solana? So I think I've read somewhere that Solana is capable of achieving anywhere between like 400 to 600,000 transactions per second. And I wonder if they're able to achieve those levels of speed while maintaining such low fees. Do you think that current sidechains and L2s are even able to pump out similar specs and compete on those numbers?
So I think there's two parts to this question. So first of all, if we specifically talk about some of the L1 numbers, they may be somewhat, I wouldn't say misleading, but I mean, we exactly haven't reached those levels of usability, so it's hard to exactly trust that. I mean, that's a pretty rational take, I would say. Second part would be that if you take uh, all of the scaling solutions that will exist for ETH, whether it's optimistic rollups or CK rollups or sidechains, so in totality, the scaling would be, I think, even significantly higher than some of the L1s. And in if totality the scaling is higher, then essentially no reason to go to other L1. Hope that makes sense.
I know for sure. I definitely agree, and obviously I like that answer. What would you say about this notion about fragmenting liquidity? Do you see that as potentially becoming an issue, or do you see things like better technologies, like, for example, Uniswap's V3 with more concentrated liquidity, where you don't need as much, really helping out in that area? What's your take on this whole, I'm going to call it an argument from those other chains that they argue that liquidity will eventually become fragmented across so many different side chains and L2s. What would you respond to that?
So I think Again, I would also answer this question in two parts. So first of all, if we we view the future as having millions of users, billions of TVL, possibly hundreds of billions of TVL. In that future, even if liquidity is fragmented, but if every solution has 50, 60 billion of liquidity, I mean every chain would prosper and every protocol would be usable. Uh, this I would say is a pretty rational take if
Yeah,
we believe in the future
I-
of Ethereum and blockchains and crypto.
yes, absolutely. I think that that was a very good answer, and I tend to agree with it 100%. Um, Before we sort of go to the next
Matt,
segment, what's
you're
that?
asking me some tough questions today.
Oh, am I? Okay. I'm not trying to be tough, I promise. I actually, the reason, like I said at the beginning, the reason why I asked these questions is because I really want to give everyone an opportunity to really dig deep into the protocol so that they should start using it. I want DeFi users to be aware of what it is that they're using, and I think Polygon is a fantastic solution right now, which is really helping Ethereum scale. And I really think that people should give it an opportunity and use it. But at the same time, it's good to have some education behind that. My last question before we move to the next segment is just based around what were your thoughts on the Solana network going down? And funny enough, Arbitrum happening also going down on the same day. What would you call that, a fluke of some sort? And what were your thoughts just in general about? I mean, it looked pretty bad on the Solana blockchain being down for like something like 13 hours. But I'm curious from someone who's really deep into the industry, what's your take on what happened that day?
Yeah, so if I'll be giving my personal take here rather than Polygon Foundation's take, I feel that even though it's early days, I mean it's difficult to build new technology. Totally agreed. Uh, but but the chain stopping with so high TVL uh, and so much money on the line, I would say is somewhat unacceptable. That may feel like a strong word, but if the chain has so much money on stake, uh, this probably shouldn't have happened. I mean, unfortunate. Uh, Also, one interesting thing that happened on that day is a lot of people gave them a lenient pass away, which does show maybe a conflict of interest from the investors or the community, which I don't know is the right path we want to take, where we confuse our conflict of interest with the overarching philosophy of decentralization or not. That was a bit surprising.
I think you raised some very, very good points there. The amount of money that's on the Solana blockchain and the value alone that's attributed to the Solana blockchain right now is definitely no joke. And I agree with everything that you said. It seems kind of weird that, even as I look at the price right now, for example, and the reactions that were given out that day as to what was unfolding, it seems like they literally got a pass, which is a little bit surprising. But I guess it gives more insight into how users feel. It almost makes me wonder if people really value decentralization as much as they say they do. Because it's a very well known fact that the Solana blockchain, for example, is definitely not as decentralized as the Ethereum blockchain. And I remember when Binance Smart Chain was going bonkers and everybody was talking about it and everybody was using it. It's the same thing. It's just people are more concerned about lower fees, right? But there are trade-offs when you use these things. So I really think that those points that you just brought up are very valid and definitely worthwhile mentioning. Guys, this has been amazing so far. We've asked some tough questions. I'd love to hear from the audience or anyone on stage. If you have any questions or comments, that would be a great time. Our next segment is going to be focused on news and updates. So I'm just going to pause here real quick just to see if anyone wants to chime in here real quick before we move on. So I'll just stop and scan the audience real quick. Okay, it looks like I took everyone's questions out of their mouth. We're going to move on to the next segment, which is news and updates. So, what are some major milestones that Polygon has surpassed that you want to that's sort of worthwhile mentioning? I know that I mentioned earlier today, which I think is amazing. I know that we saw that Polygon has over 200,000 active daily users. I think that's great. Is there anything else that you want to add to that that you might think would add value so that people would like to give the chain an opportunity and actually start using it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, daily active users is definitely one big milestone we feel we have achieved. But apart from that, if you are a DeFi power user, I would say that you can probably find any DeFi primitive. Uh, so, I mean, apart from the more famous ones, more commonly used ones, lending dexes, even if you talk about derivative protocols, for which gas fee on L1 is just too high because there may be more complex functions, more gas eating functions. Uh, Feel free to jump and use those. So perpetual protocols or synths protocol or volatility indexes. I mean, these are some interesting things you can definitely use, uh, which would be perhaps difficult to use on Ethelwin. And yeah, of course, NFTs as well. Since minting is nearly free, uh, go play around. OpenSea sees a lot of activity on Polygon. Yeah, feel free to jump there.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's as easy as changing an RPC or a network, and it almost feels like you're on Ethereum L1, but just so much faster and so much cheaper. So definitely encourage users out there who haven't used the chain just yet, but have heard a lot of interesting information on this call. Feel free to, change your RPC code, screw around with maybe $5-10 a little bit, and see what it feels like. What would you say is on the roadmap? I know that we touched upon some things about decentralization down the road and changing some multi-sigs, but what else would you like to share with some of our community listeners today with regards to what you guys have cooking coming up?
Yeah, so I think one major activity we would be doing is that we are creating a Polygon DAO to encourage more community to participate. We just feel that till now, the community feels that Polygon is perhaps a bit more centralized when it comes to our efforts. So that is one direction we will be taking, whereas where people can participate in the governance and pretty much contribute to the protocol, to the direction. We would, I think, pretty much be starting operations for that by next month. Second big sort of step would be, of course, on the ZK side. We are doing a lot of exciting things. So yeah, just stay tuned.
Awesome, that's been amazing. I'm going to pass the mic over to McFly, McFly, thanks for joining us, by the way. I saw you popped in. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the news and updates around V3 and 88 MKH in general. I do see some members in the audience that have joined us from Polygon. I'm sure that they would love to hear a little bit more about some of our plans and some of the news and updates that have been surrounding the protocol.
Sure. Thanks, Piper. And hey, everyone. So currently, our progress with integrating the Polygon. We planned originally to deploy there this week. We were discussing that last week, like we were able to do that this week. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do that, but it's a question of few days. We were trying to get a better infrastructures to deploy things because Infura and Alchemy were giving us some issue with that, so it was a bit slow. Yeah, so we will make progress this end of week and next week, and hopefully end of next week we can deploy something on Polygon. So that will be really exciting. And from there, after the strategy will be first to deploy without rewards and probably do retroactive rewards after that. Working with different partners there, with Idle Finance will deploy there also this month, if I understood well from them. And working also with some game projects like Comif to see what we can build together regarding in-game assets that generate yields. So yeah, really exciting things, upcoming things regarding that. And the things like maybe it's a details that not everyone know, but we take sometimes to deploy on Polygon because like that we can also optimize the way we deploy on different chains. When that will be done with Polygon, we will be able to go much faster to deploy on Avalanche or other chains. So it would be questions of 1 or 2 days after that to be able to deploy. So yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah, so if you don't have questions regarding that, I don't know, Whipper, if you want to react regarding that, or I'm just going to the list of updates.
Yeah, just one sec. Let me just scan the audience real quick. I mean, guys, that's a huge announcement. I'm not sure if anyone within our community has a question related to that, but obviously the move to Polygon will definitely help with lowering some of those gas fees that many users have been complaining about. So that's obviously some fantastic news. And obviously there's a lot of development happening, a lot of news and updates, which I'm sure you guys are going to hear. But I'm going to scan the audience real quick just to see if anyone has any questions related to that or anything else that's been discussed so far on the call. Josh or Steven, if you guys see anyone in the audience, feel free to just point them out, but I do not see one here. Okay, so let's keep going. McFly, back to you, bud. You can go ahead.
So yeah, last thing regarding Polygon and over deployment, we really see it as a non-zero sum game. So it's definitely like deploying a franchise in another country where you get access to new customers, new communities. So we really see it as it. So for this reason, we want to push that really hard. Right now that we have V3, we are just waiting to have V3 deployed on mainnet to be able to do all of that after. So right now we have that. V3 seems stable right now. We are waiting the 2 weeks delay to launch new things on V3 on mainnet too. So yeah, that's the next update regarding what happened on Ethereum mainnet. We will list new fixed yield rate assets. We got a list of 20 new assets that we want to list. We wanted to do that this week, but as I said before, like we have some issue with Infura and Alchemy to deploy easily all of that. So it's taking more time and it's really a pain. So we are looking for another solution to be much faster and productive. So this thing will happen probably next week. We will also introduce pools working with Cream and other pools working with the protocol, plus new assets on Aave and Compound, of course. And yeah, the other big news is we will change our multi-sig structure for the governance treasury to answer some security requests we got from our partners. So we want to go in that direction. So right now we are drafting a list of candidates for the multi-sig. We will have a 9 signer structure. So this thing will be probably put as a proposal on the forum and the snapshot early next week. We got 8 or 9. Like we got 8 confirmation. We are just waiting one more confirmation, and we will present to you guys the new signers for the governance treasury. Why we are doing that? Because for some other protocol who want to work with us, they have some risk framework, and in this risk framework, there is also the way we are doing stuff, handling access to multi-sig. So right now it's really just me and the firm accessing the multi-sig. So we want to onboard more people with like some guys, like legit guys in the industry, of course, who have the time also to do that job, because it's not just a passive role. You need to sign things on time. So we need to find someone who is reliable enough, and yeah, like kind of having some potential in the industry. So we are working on that this week. And the other ongoing things, there is the If Online hackathon, still ongoing until October 10th. So if you want to build something with 88MPH, don't hesitate to jump directly on the Discord of the If Online. You will see our prize there. We are offering a 5,000 USDC prize to build something on top of the 88MPH. So it could be like whatever you want, new product, new way of doing things in terms of interface, in terms of the user flow. It could be whatever you want. So it's pretty open. And we have also the community contest. So it's our own in-house hackathon. Really, we really focus this hackathon, this community contest, on creating educational content around 88MPH v3. So you will be able to see that directly on our Medium or on Twitter. We are posting regularly about it. And I think, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, we will extend the community contest, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We're extending for maybe another week. We're looking at maybe a little bit longer, just because on the Chinese side they want to do some content. But for the moment, just one more week.
Yeah, we'll release a specific date here in the next 24 hours.
Awesome. So yeah, I think that's the updates, guys. So yeah, a lot of things are cooking, in-house stuff. So stay tuned for like the next days, weeks. It's taking a bit of time, of course, to build all of that. But yeah, we are really happy with the progress. And yeah, that's awesome. Really excited.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, McFly. So it doesn't look like anyone has any questions in the audience. Before we go to the next segment, which is around the raffle and the POAPs, I just want to thank our special guest, Asif from Polygon. Thank you so much for coming on, for giving us a deep dive into the project, the protocol. It definitely helps with the 88MPH community. Obviously, as McFly mentioned, that they're hoping to deploy there within the next couple of weeks. So that obviously sheds a lot of light and will definitely be very helpful for all of our users. So thank you so much for coming on and helping us get a better understanding. This is the last time. I'm going to just pause real quick just to see if anyone has any questions or comments, and then we're going to move on to the raffle. So I'm just going to pause here for 10 seconds. Okay, guys, you know what time it is. So I invite everyone in the general chat where you have an opportunity to put in a number between 1 and 60. And the person that either nails it or gets closest to will win our raffle prize of $100 worth of 1MPH tokens. So please feel free to go on to the general chat and put in your number now. Please put in your number once only. I'm going to ask Josh and Steven and McFly if they can just give me a hand finding the number here. Not sure if you guys dropped the number in our private chat yet. Josh, I think we're going with McFly's, right?
Yeah, sorry. Just trying to
Okay,
delete it.
cool. Okay, guys, got 20 seconds.
Ooh.
10 seconds. And we are closing it. Josh and Steven, if you can just give me a quick scan. I did see 2 people, it looks like.
Yeah, it is 3 actually.
3.
Yeah. So how do we want to do that?
Well, you can either
those,
split it.
the closest was
No,
No,
three.
the winning number was 42, and it looks like we've got Turner, Jan, and Absolute Unit coming in for nailing it.
Your old B-ball number. Nice.
So we can. It's up to the 3 people. We can either run your own little raffle right now, or you guys could just split the prize between the 3 of you. It's up to you.
Everybody vote on 3-way raffle or split. Vote for your favorite, the one that I put in. 3-way.
I actually need to head
Three-way
out.
raffle.
Thank you everyone for a great call. You guys, good luck figuring out who to give that money to.
Okay, no
Thank
worries.
you.
It looks like
Later.
I think we're gonna split it up.
Yeah, okay, 1 and 10, number between 1 and
No, I
10
think
chat.
we're gonna. I think we're just gonna split up the prize between the 3 of them.
They all said 3-way. Oh, 3-way. Oh, 3-way raffle, I think is their point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. I will. I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that in the general chat. Once again, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you to our special guest. We hope you enjoyed the call. Please stay up to date with the latest happenings here at 88MPH on our socials, Discord, Telegram, Twitter, you name it. Thanks, and I wish everyone a wonderful day. Until the next one, thank you.
Thank you, Whipper.
Thank you, everyone.
Whipper.
Thank
you.
you, the community, for inviting me.
Yeah, G.
Just a last thing. So, on specifically to the 88 MPH, so we are actively looking to increase composability across protocols. So if anyone has ideas around 88 MPH, if anyone wants to build upon 88 MPH, feel free to reach out to me. We have an active developer support program running, so we would be definitely happy to support developers building on top of the protocol.
That's awesome. We will relay that also. Feel free to share in the general channel if you have a link to this program. It will be helpful. We can reshare that also in the different hackathon where we are participating right now.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks everyone. This was fun.
Have a good one, everyone.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for coming out. Thank you.
Okay, I think we should do, just for the Jan, Absolute Unit, and Brennan, we should do the last raffle, all right? We do it?
What's that?
Cool. Let's do it. Okay, so one number between 1 and 10, go it now. Okay. And Whipper, I will send you. And where's the other guy? What's his name? Brunner. Brunner, you have to type a number still.
Oh, I don't know why I thought they wanted to split the prize.
Different number, Brunner. Okay, Brunner, you have 3 seconds to write a new number, otherwise you are void from the competition. Closest number was, would you believe it, a tie between Absolute Unit and Jan, because it was 7. Right, you guys are getting $50 each. Sorry, Brunner.
Alrighty, I will take care of that. Thank you guys for an awesome call. Hope everyone has an absolutely lovely day.
Bye, guys.